All right, so you're getting ready for a legislative drafter interview.
That's exciting.
We're going to deep dive into RoleCatcher's guides today
Yeah.
to help you completely ace it.
Exactly.
Think of this as like your own personal prep session.
Yeah, and it's more than just prepping for this interview.
Right.
We're going to give you the tools and insights to really understand this whole career path
Totally.
and set yourself up for success.
We're using RoleCatcher's career guide and their interview module to unpack everything.
It's fantastic stuff.
So first things first, what does a legislative drafter actually do?
Yeah, it's about way more than just editing laws.
Okay.
You're making sure that laws are crystal clear, that they're rock solid, and, sometimes even introducing brand new ideas that nobody's thought of before.
Interesting.
The impact is huge.
Okay, that sounds way more interesting than I initially thought.
Yeah.
But I have to say, the interview for this kind of role sounds a little nerve-wracking.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
That's why we're here, to break it down step by step.
Exactly.
So let's jump right into some common interview questions.
Okay.
The kind that tend to make people sweat a little.
Perfect. Let's get this practice session rolling.
All right, imagine you're sitting in that interview room.
Okay.
And they hit you with this, what inspired you to pursue this career?
Right.
It's a classic.
It is a classic.
This is where you can really set yourself apart.
Yeah, because it's so easy to give like a generic answer.
Totally.
Like I want to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of being vague,
Okay.
connect your answer to something really specific.
Okay.
Was there a law that had a personal impact on you?
Okay.
A social issue you're passionate about?
Right.
Maybe a historical figure who inspires you?
So you're showing your passion
Yes.
by grounding it in like a real experience.
Exactly.
What if they say, okay, but how does that connect to the day-to-day work
That's a good question.
of a legislative drafter?
Excellent point.
Yeah.
That's where you bridge that gap.
Okay.
You could say, that experience made me realize how important clear and effective legislation is.
Right.
It showed me the real-world impact of the laws we craft.
So you're showing them that you understand the connection
Yes.
between your motivation and the actual work.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, what's another question they might ask?
Let's say they ask, how do you stay up to date with changes in legislation and regulatory requirements?
Okay.
They want to know you're not just going to sit back and wait for things to come to you.
Right, so it's about being proactive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So don't just say, I read legal journals.
Right.
Name some specific resources that you use.
Okay.
Maybe a legal database,
Oh.
a professional organization's newsletter,
Right.
or even a blog by a leading expert in the field.
Showing that you're actively like seeking out information.
Yes.
And staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Could you give an example of how someone might answer that?
Sure, you could say something like, I subscribe to the Legal Drafting Institute's newsletter and regularly attend their webinars to stay informed about the latest developments in legislative drafting techniques.
That's much more specific.
It is.
What about those really technical questions?
Yes.
The ones that dive into like the nitty-gritty of drafting.
Those are important too.
Yeah.
They might ask something like, how do you ensure legislative language is legally sound and withstands judicial scrutiny?
Ooh, yeah.
This is where they're testing your legal knowledge, your attention to detail.
So it's not just about writing clearly.
Right.
It's about writing accurately.
Exactly.
And anticipating potential legal challenges.
Yes. So here's where you can get into your process a bit.
Okay.
Do you research legal precedents?
Okay.
Do you consult with subject matter experts?
Makes sense.
Maybe you use software to help identify inconsistencies or ambiguities in the language?
So it's about demonstrating that you're thorough and meticulous.
Yes.
And that you're really leaving no room for misinterpretations or loopholes.
Exactly. And this might be a good time to mention RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, yeah.
Their platform can actually help you analyze your responses
Wow.
to these technical questions and make sure you're hitting all the key points.
Really? That's incredible.
It is.
It's like having a legal expert in your pocket.
It's pretty amazing.
Giving you real-time feedback on your answers.
You can literally type in your answer.
Wow.
And the AI will analyze it based on the specific job you're applying for.
Oh, wow.
Highlighting areas where you might need to be more precise or
Okay.
provide more detail.
So you're going into the interview feeling extra prepared and confident
Exactly.
that your answers are really like rock solid.
Yes. Now let's tackle another common question.
Okay.
They might ask, how do you balance competing priorities and interests when drafting legislation?
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
It is.
It's about more than just legal expertise.
Right.
It's about diplomacy and problem solving.
Yes.
And really navigating those like political minefields.
They want to see that you can handle those sensitive situations.
Right.
And find solutions that satisfy multiple stakeholders.
So how do you even begin to answer a question like that?
The best approach is to have a specific example ready from your experience.
Okay.
Maybe it was a project where you had to balance the needs of different departments.
Okay.
Or a volunteer role where you had to mediate between conflicting viewpoints.
Right.
Walk them through your process.
Okay.
How did you gather information?
Okay.
Weigh the options.
Right.
And ultimately make a decision that considered everyone's interests.
So using a real-world example
Yes.
makes your answer much more compelling.
It does.
And memorable.
And again, this is where RoleCatcher's AI can come in handy.
Right.
You can use their platform to practice answering this question.
Okay.
And get feedback on how well you're articulating your process.
Right.
And highlighting those key skills of diplomacy and problem solving.
So you're going into the interview with a polished and well-structured answer.
Exactly.
Ready to impress.
That's the goal. So let's keep this interview prep going.
Okay.
We've tackled some tough questions.
Yeah.
But, there are a few more we should probably cover.
Yeah.
Remember, the goal is to show them that you're not just qualified.
Okay.
But that you're truly passionate about this work.
And that you've really thought about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's say they ask,
Okay.
what are some of the biggest challenges you anticipate facing in this role?
Okay.
It might be tempting to kind of downplay the difficulties,
Right.
but a thoughtful answer here can really impress them.
So what kind of challenges should someone highlight?
Think about the things we've already discussed.
Okay.
Balancing competing interests.
Right.
Staying up to date with constant changes in the law.
Yeah.
Ensuring clarity and accuracy in your drafting.
That's a lot.
You could even mention the potential for long hours and tight deadlines, especially when you're working on high-profile legislation.
But it's important to frame those challenges in a positive light.
Absolutely. You could say something like,
Okay.
I know this role can be demanding, but I thrive in fast-paced environments where I can use my skills to make a real impact.
I like that.
Or, I'm aware of the potential for conflicting viewpoints, but I see that as an opportunity to exercise my diplomacy and problem-solving skills.
So you're acknowledging the challenges.
Yes.
But also showcasing your resilience and your commitment to finding solutions.
Exactly. And this could be a great segue into talking about your long-term career goals.
Oh.
They might ask something like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what are your aspirations within this field?
So this is where you connect your personal ambitions to the opportunities within the legislative drafting career path.
Precisely. RoleCatcher's career guide actually outlines some potential paths.
Okay.
Specializing in a particular area of law.
Right.
Moving into leadership roles. Maybe even pursuing further education to deepen your expertise.
So it's about showing them that you've thought about your future.
Yes.
That you're ambitious, but also realistic.
Exactly. You could say, in 5 years, I see myself as a specialist in environmental law contributing to legislation that protects our natural resources.
Okay.
Or, I aspire to eventually lead a team of drafters, mentoring and developing their skills while ensuring high-quality legislative output.
So it's about painting a picture of your professional journey.
Yes.
And demonstrating your commitment to growth and continuous learning.
Exactly.
Okay, what about those questions that are more about your personal qualities and your work style?
Ah, those are key too.
Yeah.
They might ask, what skills do you consider essential for an effective legislative drafter?
Okay.
Seems basic.
Yeah.
But it's a chance to really showcase your self-awareness and highlight those traits that make you stand out.
So what are some skills that would impress them?
Think about the core competencies we've been discussing. Strong legal research and analytical skills.
Right.
Impeccable writing and editing. Meticulous attention to detail.
Yeah.
A deep understanding of legislative processes.
Makes sense.
And don't forget those soft skills.
Yeah.
Diplomacy, problem-solving, adaptability, and a commitment to continuous learning.
It's about presenting a well-rounded picture.
Yes.
Of your abilities.
Showing them that you're not just technically proficient,
Right.
but also a strong communicator.
Yeah.
And a collaborative team player.
Here's a tip.
Okay.
When you're talking about these skills, Don't just list them off.
Right.
Give specific examples
Yes.
of how you've demonstrated those skills in your previous work
Exactly.
or experiences.
So instead of just saying, I'm a great communicator, you might say, in my previous role, I was responsible for explaining complex legal concepts to non-legal audiences, and I developed a knack for using clear and concise language that everyone could understand.
Perfect. Is exactly the kind of detail.
Yeah.
That will make your answer memorable and convincing.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you fine-tune your responses to these types of questions.
Right.
Making sure you're hitting all the right notes and showcasing your strengths effectively.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about how to approach those big picture questions about your motivations and career goals.
Yes.
As well as those more technical questions about your skills and expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those curveball questions? The ones that really throw you off guard.
Those are tough.
They are.
But they're also an opportunity to shine.
Okay.
One strategy is to try to connect the unexpected question back to something you've already discussed.
So if they ask something seemingly unrelated to legislative drafting,
Right.
like, tell me about a time you failed.
Okay.
You could try to relate it back to, like, a lesson you learned about attention to detail or the importance of collaboration.
Exactly. Or if they ask a hypothetical question, like, if you could change one thing about the legislative process, what would it be?
Right.
You can use that as a chance to demonstrate your deep understanding of the field.
Okay.
And your vision for how things could be improved.
It's all about thinking on your feet.
Yes.
Staying calm.
Mm-hmm.
And finding a way to showcase your knowledge and your critical thinking skills.
Precisely. And remember, even if you stumble a bit, it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
Interviewers are looking for someone who's genuine, thoughtful, and passionate, even in the face of unexpected challenges.
Okay, so we've prepped for some tough questions.
We have.
What about those seemingly simple ones?
Oh, yeah.
That are actually designed to reveal a lot about your personality and work style.
Ah, yes, those behavioral questions. Yeah. They might ask something like, tell me about a time you had to work under a tight deadline.
Right.
Or describe a situation where you had to deal with a difficult colleague.
These are all about giving concrete examples of how you've handled specific situations in the past.
Exactly. And the key here is to choose examples that highlight those qualities that are essential for a legislative drafter.
Right.
Your organizational skills, your ability to work under pressure, your diplomacy and conflict resolution skills.
So instead of just saying, I'm good at meeting deadlines, you might describe a specific project where you had to juggle multiple tasks and prioritize effectively to ensure everything was completed on time.
Or if they ask about dealing with a difficult colleague, you might talk about a time when you had to find common ground with someone who had a very different work style or approach to a problem.
So it's about showing them that you've faced real-world challenges.
Yes.
And that you've developed the skills and strategies to handle them effectively.
And again, this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be incredibly helpful. You can practice answering these behavioral questions and get feedback on how well you're structuring your stories.
And highlighting those key personality traits.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
It is.
Helping you refine your answers and boost your confidence.
Exactly.
This has been such a helpful prep session so far.
I agree.
We've covered so much ground. Okay, so we've covered like a ton of ground here, you know?
We have.
From those big picture questions to the nitty gritty of like showcasing your skills.
Yes.
But before we wrap up this prep session, I want to touch on something that I think often gets overlooked. Which is how to really nail the nonverbal stuff in an interview.
That's so important.
Right.
You could have the perfect answers. But if your body language is screaming, I'd rather be anywhere else, it's going to hurt your chances.
Exactly. So what are some tips for projecting confidence and enthusiasm, even if you're feeling nervous?
First and foremost, eye contact is key. It shows that you're engaged and you're interested in the conversation. But don't stare them down.
Aim for natural, sustained eye contact.
Yeah.
That feels comfortable for both of you.
What about posture?
Good posture conveys a sense of professionalism and presence. So sit up straight, but not stiffly. Relax your shoulders, keep your chin level. And try to avoid fidgeting or crossing your arms.
Those are great tips.
Yeah.
What about your voice?
Sure.
I know sometimes when I'm nervous, I tend to like speak really fast or like mumble my words.
It's natural to feel a bit flustered, but try to speak clearly and at a moderate pace.
Okay.
Take deep breaths to calm your nerves and remember to enunciate your words so the interviewer can understand you clearly.
And it's okay to pause.
Yes.
And collect your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Before answering a question.
It's better to take a moment to gather your thoughts and deliver a thoughtful response than to rush into an answer that's rambling or incomplete.
This is all super helpful.
Good.
It's like those little details can make such a big difference.
They really can.
In how you come across to the interviewer.
And remember, practice makes perfect.
Right.
RoleCatcher actually has a feature where you can record yourself answering interview questions.
Oh, wow.
And then get feedback.
Interesting.
On your body language and delivery from their AI.
Seriously, that's amazing.
It is.
It's like having a virtual interview coach.
It's pretty cool.
Right there in your pocket.
Exactly. You can see for yourself how you're coming across. Identify areas where you can improve.
Right.
And go into the real interview feeling much more confident and prepared.
Okay, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Into the world of legislative drafting interviews.
I agree.
We've talked about how to approach those tough questions.
Yeah.
Showcase your skills and even master your nonverbal communication. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
The future of this field.
Yes.
And the role of AI.
It's fascinating to think about.
It is.
You know, as AI tools become more sophisticated, they're going to have a huge impact on how laws are researched, drafted, and even interpreted.
It's almost a little bit daunting.
It can be.
Like, will AI eventually replace human legislative drafters altogether?
It's a valid question, but rather than viewing AI as a threat, I think it's more helpful to see it as a powerful tool that can enhance our skills and make us even more effective in our roles.
So it's about embracing those technological advancements.
Yes.
And finding ways to use them to our advantage.
Exactly. Imagine using AI to analyze vast amounts of legal data.
Right.
Identify potential loopholes in existing legislation.
Wow.
Or even generate alternative wording options for greater clarity and precision.
That could revolutionize the way we approach legislative drafting.
It could.
Making the process more efficient and the outcomes even more robust.
An exciting time.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is, and it's a great reminder that this is a field that's constantly evolving. To thrive as a legislative drafter, you need to be adaptable. Embrace continuous learning and stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technological advancements.
So what does this all mean
for
you as you prepare for that interview?
Okay.
You've got a deep understanding of the role strategies for tackling those tricky questions. And the knowledge that tools like RoleCatcher can help you refine your answers and boost your confidence.
Yes. Go into that interview prepared to showcase not just your technical skills, but your passion for the law, your ability to think critically and creatively, and your eagerness to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in this dynamic and impactful field.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
I agree.
I feel like I've learned so much, not just about like acing the interview, but about the legislative drafter role itself.
Yes.
And the exciting future that lies ahead.
Me too. It's been a fascinating journey, and I have no doubt that you, our listener, will make incredible contributions to the world of lawmaking.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another thought-provoking topic. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.